Hey, good morning, Lagos. Good morning, everyone. This is Follow the Money brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre. We do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 on this channel. It's a pleasure to be here always every week, breaking down capital market information, capital market news, and all the important information that you need to keep your portfolio on a bounce. It was another busy week. During the week, we had several announcement, several companies making bold moves, which I would go through as during the course of this show. Of course, this show is purely my opinion, not the opinion of any company or any organization. If you're looking for an investment decision, always consult your financial advisor. All right, so what a busy week it was. Like I mentioned earlier, the All Share Index, which is the index that essentially measures how stocks performed in Nigeria, fell 0.55% during the week. You might think that that's small, but I mean, in terms of market capitalization, that's huge. That was almost 700 or so billion off stocks. So stocks lost almost 700 billion or so during the week. And All Share Index fell to 105955 points. So that is three consecutive weeks of losses in March. You know, the thing they always say when, what Warren Buffett tends to say, it is when stocks are falling and when people are afraid that you go into the stock market. I don't know if that holds water at this moment, but I mean, always opportunities there. I will, maybe if there's time, if time permits towards the end of the show, reveal some of my own personal stock picks, stocks that I have included in my watch list. Back to the NGX, trading volume surged 80.45% to 3.2 billion shares, indicating increased market activity. So while shares fell, we still saw volumes moving. So interestingly, when share prices are falling and volumes are increasing, kind of sounds like there are a lot more people that are selling at a lower price. And then why people are buying at a lower price. So often a sign of market downturn, basically. Market capitalization, like I mentioned, dipped to 66.3 trillion from 66, clinging basically to the 66 trillion threshold. So market cap still around that 66 trillion zone, basically. 38 stocks gained, 46 stocks declined, showing a slight improvement in sentiment during the week. So in terms of sector performance, NGX Premium Index was down 1.45% as MTN, UBA, and First Holdco dropped over 2% respectively during the week. Insurance indexes up 0.89%, led by Cornerstone Insurance. Consumer goods index slightly up, a little bit up, while oil and gas indexes, the oil and gas index fell 1.15%, while the banking index also fell. So these were the major drivers. Of course, industrial goods index also fell. So also looks like a lot of investors are basically, taking profit off the table. This is the earnings season. During the earnings season, as company release their results, they also make dividend announcements. So investors sometimes want to know whether it's worth waiting for that dividend or whether it's worth buying into that stock to earn that dividend, or maybe it's just better for them to take profits of capital appreciation. It kind of looks like that's what they're doing. The latter, that is taking profits of capital appreciation. Someone just pointed to me, well, maybe the market cap didn't really drop by 700 billion anyway. We can always make that math. 66.3 trillion is what it is at the moment, down 0.55%. Yeah, so perhaps maybe not. Anyway, we move to the top gainers and losers during the week. So are you ready to listen to stocks that lost the most versus the ones that gained the most? You might want to pay attention because your stocks in your portfolio might just be amongst them. The top loser, the first in the top 10 of losers is Omatech Ventures. Still don't know why this stock is still on the exchange, because it doesn't seem like there's that much happening with this company. It's a computer company that has been on the exchange for years. One of the two or three homegrown computer makers in Nigeria, but never really has caught it. I mean, to think Omatech has been there, I kind of think for as old as maybe Facebook or thereabout, but still, right, down there. But then share price dropped 7.89% to 70 kobo per share, purely a penny stock. Cadbury Nigeria continues to struggle on share price appreciation, but stock fell 8% to 23 naira per share. Academic Press also fell 9.66% to 2 naira 62 kobo per share. And then Berger Paints down 9.8% to 18 naira 85 kobo per share. VFD Group also fell 9.92% to 47 naira 20 kobo per share, and rounding up the bottom, the first five of the bottom losers, basically. And then corn oil shed 10% to drop to 331 naira 20 kobo. University Press dropped 10% to drop at 4 naira to trade at 4 naira 32 kobo per share, while IEI Insurance dropped 10%. Mikio Industries, Mikio has been either on our top gainers or top losers for some time now, but this time around fell 10% during the week. Nemeth Insurance down 17% to make it the top loser of the week. Looks like the drug or the pharmaceutical companies seem to have struggled a little bit last week, with Nemeth and Mikio both leaning at 17% and 10.36% respectively. Now, which of the stocks fell into your portfolio? I mean, you could want to drop that in the comment section. Let's see whether you had any of the stocks in your portfolio. But we'll move on to the gainers, the top gainers. May and Baker, which is another pharmaceutical company, did join the gainers. So, well, it wasn't all that bad for all pharmaceuticals. They gained 9.43% during the week. UPDC Real Estate Investment Trust continues its gaining streak and gained 10.71% during the week. Cornerstone Insurance also joined the gainers chart, gaining 10.41% during the week to close at 3 naira 50 kobo per share. So if you've got that stock in your portfolio, then pretty much a top gain for you. Cornerstone has also been in and out of the gainers chart, but this week it's coming back at a 10.41% gain. Etana PLC followed up last week's 52% or so gain to gain another 11.27% this week. So Etana basically gaining over 40% in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks, so not 1 month, not 1 year. In just 2 weeks, this oil and gas company has gained over 40%. So it gained 50. What am I saying? It's gained over 60%. It gained 52% last week, and 2 weeks ago, I beg your pardon, and is gaining 11% now. So that's like 64 or so percent in just 2 weeks. And share price currently at gained 11.27%, while Royal Exchange PLC also gained 12.82%. Tantalizers gained 13.13% during the week, while CWG, a computer company, also gained 13.2% during the week. FTN Cocoa up 14.2%, while Caverton Offshore, on the back of another of a 37.2% gain the previous week, is gained 15.3% last week. So back-to-back solid gains for Caverton Offshore. I did mention here that they made a huge announcement during the week, where last 2 weeks or so, some acquisition or some investments that they intend to do in the oil and gas space. Top gainer last week of livestock feed. Livestock feed gained 40% the week before, I think, and now is gaining 22.6% last week. So investors in livestock feeds should be ecstatic at the moment, with the sort of gains that they have been recording, all week long. Not really sure why. I mean, agro companies have been doing pretty well over the last few weeks, over the last few years, just as a lot of businesses in Nigeria switch to local sourcing for raw materials. You've seen major successes from the likes of Presco and the likes of Okomu Oil. Livestock feed is just one of those stocks that is just down there, down below, but it has been gaining. I mean, fun fact, just consider, or just check this out. More like livestock feed 52 weeks ago, which was like a year ago, was trading at like 1 naira 30 kobo. I mean, 1 naira 30 kobo, and today it's trading at 10 naira 20 kobo. It's like just astonishing return, a 1 year return for investors in that stock. And if you look at the price to earnings ratio, it's just trading at 16.9x. So that means a year ago it was probably trading at less than 2x or so. So now it's trading at 16.9x. I kind of think like it's in the expensive territory at the moment, but for some reason investors are rewarding the stocks with this share price appreciation. And now stocks like this have their own downsides, and the downside sometimes is that as much as the share price is appreciating, you might not just be able to get the stock to buy. Volume might not be that much for you. So sometimes even when you acquire the stock, can be a little bit difficult to sell. So for example, livestock feed average volume was like 2 million units. 2 million units the entire week. So if you do a little bit of math, so if you do 2 million units the entire week, 2 million units average, okay, let's just say average a day, right? Multiply it times 10, so that like 20 what? 20 million. I mean, not a lot, right? So that means you can't even, if you put in 1 billion here, you're not going to be able to buy the stock. The entire market capitalization of the stock is just 30 billion. And that's the problem with most Nigerian stocks. As much as you see a lot of all these astonishing gains, the liquidity depth is not that much. Market capitalization is not big. So can't really absorb a lot of capital. That's why bank stocks are usually the most liquid stocks, because bank stocks trade at over 100 billion market cap, 200 billion market cap. And then there's a lot more shares for you to buy and sell. So you can easily go in and then exit those stocks as well. But for stocks like livestock feed, as much as they're posting all these gains, it's not that easy to get, into those stocks and exit the way you want. So just to give you another context, Okomu Oil trades at about 520 or so billion in market cap. Same time, its average volume of trading is about 114,000 or thereabouts. So also not very liquid in terms of volumes of stocks that is traded. However, market cap is huge. So even if it's 1,000 shares you're buying, because Okomu Oil is selling at 545 naira per share, but still not enough to want to move things. So that's the problem with a lot of all the stocks. They're highly illiquid, even though they pose incredible returns. All right, so that is the first half of Follow the Money. When we come back, we're going to go through some important information. Seplat was in the news, Oando in the news. We're going to break that down. Aradel in the news as well. African Prudential in the news, and if time permits, we're going to go through each and every one of this information. Of course, I hope you watched the latest episode of our Drinks and Mics show. You don't want to miss that. Go to our YouTube channel and don't just watch, share, like, comment, share, so that everyone else can also watch it. It's on YouTube at Nairametrics TV on YouTube. If you're not following yet, you better go. There is a whole lot of stuff on that channel, including this particular show. You see me live on studio. And if you want replay or playback of some of the things that I've said, you can always go on our YouTube channel and you watch not just episode, but previous episodes as well. Be right back in the second half of the show. All right, welcome back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre, and we do this, of course, every Monday on this channel, 8 to 8:30. You can catch previous versions of this show on our YouTube channel at Nairametrics TV. Yeah, there was a very important announcement last week by the Security and Exchange Commission. I mean, at Nairametrics, we do promote investor advocacy, the cornerstone of everything that we do. So it's very important when we hear news like this. So SEC warned against two companies. They call it Provest, or I don't know what they are, whether they're companies or institutions, but they warned against Provest and MyShare investment schemes. So Provest, PRO hyphen VEST, and then MyShare, MYSHARE, investment schemes. And SEC says is operated by UYJ Multitrade Limited, Promised Land Estate Limited, and Promised Land Building and Construction Limited. According to SEC, these entities are not registered or authorized to conduct investment-related activities in Nigeria, and urge the public to verify investment firms on SEC's portal before engaging in any transaction. Why is SEC doing this? Look, I mean, a lot of companies, some of these companies might have very good intention, but sometimes you can't raise money from the public without getting SEC approval. That's just how it works. We are an economy that has regulators that regulate how things are done. And so if you want to get money from people privately without making noise about it, that's fine. But if you go public, and public is like when you start to take money from more than like 20 people, and circulating all sorts of investment schemes online and telling people to come invest and blah, blah, that falls squarely under SEC's purview, and that really requires a lot of checks. So SEC, on behalf of Nigerians or investment community, conducts a lot of checks for things like this. They go through the promoters of that company. They vet and want to know if those guys really know what they are doing. They also check their backgrounds. They get them to share their referees. They check through their referees. I mean, I've been through this process and I know it's pretty rigorous. So that is why, when they come out like this and start to put out names of these companies, they take them serious. Doesn't necessarily mean those people are fraudulent or so. It's just that they did not go through the SEC process. Of course, sometimes some of these things are purely Ponzi schemes and are fraudulent. And so SEC also points that out. Just important to put that there. And this is not the first time we're seeing it this year. In January, SEC cautioned against Rice Vest and Stex, stating both were running unapproved investment schemes targeting the public. So on these things you also hear on advert, on radio, on TV, on social media, or anywhere online. You see some of these things. Always important to be sure that, to check whether they are SEC operated. In the case of Rice Vest, SEC said it was soliciting investments under its capital market activities, while Stex operated the commodity Mudaraba Investment Series 1. So always verify investments firms through SECs, through the Security and Exchange Commission before committing funds. Avoid schemes promising high returns without regulatory approval. And the new approval timeline could boost legal market activities in 2025, because people are also telling SEC, like, look, you guys take a lot of time to approve some of these things, and people just can't wait, because, I mean, a lot has gone into creating these investment schemes, and you just can't, hold on approval for months and months and months just because, you're trying to do some checks. So over to SEC as well to try and improve some of those things. But please beware of these investment schemes. If you're not very sure about an investment scheme, go to SEC website and check those companies. You can also make inquiries through platforms like Nairametrics, and we can always do that check for you. But more importantly, always consult. Don't just give money to these schemes. There are a lot of Ponzi schemes out there, and it's important that everyone is aware of it. All right, so back to earnings. Africa Prudential released its full year numbers during the week. Pre-tax profits surged a whopping 95%, 94.9% to be specific, to 2.8 billion, while its revenue increased 23.9% to a billion, driven by corporate action fees. I'm not sure that revenue number is correct. I think it's like 10 billion or so, but I'll check that out in a bit. Interest income as well was up 33.6% during the year as well, showing strong earnings for one of the companies that is in that here's holding umbrella. Africa Prudential is also one company that that I kind of like. They have constantly reported profitability growth year in, year out. And I mean, always one of those stocks you want to put in your portfolio as you continue to build it. Kind of like reminds me of United Capital as well. It's also another company that continues to reward investors. Sometimes it could be through consistent dividend payments, and then other times they just give you share price appreciation. So revenue for the company was solid during the year. What I could see here is 10 billion or thereabout, I think. And I mean, I can always confirm this. Looks like my numbers not working at the moment. But dividend announcement, final dividend for the company was 60 kobo per share, bringing total dividends to 75 kobo per share for the year. Just like I mentioned, they do give dividend year in, year out. So that's one thing with United Capital. So if you have these shares in your portfolio, you might want to check it out and be sure that you are getting the dividend that they have promised investors. All right, so we'll move on now to Craneburgh. Craneburgh launched its infrastructure bond to toll projects. Craneburgh's is a construction company. In case you don't know, the construction company, not just in Lagos but across Nigeria, and they launched an infrastructure bond during the week, trying to raise 32.5 billion naira, guaranteed by InfoCredit. So InfoCredit is a government company that raises, that helps, fund infrastructure projects. Sometimes they guarantee those projects. Sometimes they also raise funds in association with different investors or fundraising institutions. Sometimes they collaborate, and essentially there to guarantee projects are funded in Nigeria. So this particular one is guaranteed by InfoCredit at 2.5 billion. It's a 20-year tenure, and the interest rate is, from what I gather, the coupon rate is between 19.5% to 20%. Offer closed already. Offer closed on the 14th of March, 2025. And they were only just targeting high net worth individuals and qualified institutional investors. So if those are the kind of things that you like investing in, you might want to just check, Nairametrics website for for the sort of information that we share. We do share this information every day on our website. If you're not subscribing to our newsletter yet, you might want to check our newsletter. All right, so breakdown of the fund: 87.2% of it they said we're going to use for capital expenditure, while 10% also they're going to use for debt reserve requirement, which essentially means you're just going to keep part of that money to continue to service their debt, while the rest will be for about 100 million for project preparation and cost. Yeah. So back to Africa Prudential, got the real numbers. So revenue that they got from contract was 1 billion, and then interest income was 4.1 billion. Total gross earnings 5.1 billion. So gross earnings 5.1 billion for the company. That's why it was a little bit of mix up there. All right, so we go to the next story. Oando expanded. It's expanding its global energy footprint. And this company and their turnaround is just incredible, though. Over the last few years, I mean, Oando is one of those companies that had major issues, but appear to be hitting some kind of milestones, albeit on paper, but it's still pretty good. The company announced that it was selected as the preferred bidder to lease Gorakara refinery. Guess where? In Trinidad and Tobago, marking a major expansion into the Caribbean energy space. The refinery is about a century old, by the way. a century old. Sometimes I guess some people wonder why the heck is Oando, trying bidding for a refinery that is over 100 years old. Anyway, it's a critical asset in Trinidad and Tobago's oil industry, and it's going to be leased from the Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited. According to Oando, this move strengthens its African Caribbean collaboration and will foster trade investment and knowledge exchange in the energy sector. The CEO described it, that's Wale Tinubu described, that's the group CEO described this as a win, as a strategic step towards global energy expansion. Wow, interesting there for Oando's. So we move on straight to Seplat. Seplat also in the news. Seplat issued $650 million bond to $650 million bond to refinance debt and boost growth. So Seplat launched its $650 million senior notes due in 2030 to refinance its 2026 debt. Seplat has made a lot of major acquisitions over the last few years. So very important that they are financially liquid. The new notes is issued at a considerable 9.12%, considering that appears to be the same kind of interest rate that Nigeria, the sovereign, is raising money for, but it's still slightly higher because the previous debt that they raised at 7.75%, which is maturing in 2026. So what is it going to use for? The refinancing strategy, the bond proceed will repurchase its outstanding debt. So it's basically just replacing one debt with another debt. So investors who tender the notes before the deadline will prioritize in the new issuance allocation for Seplat. Seplat recently just acquired Mobile Producing Nigeria Unlimited (MNPU), which is now called Seplat Energy Producing Nigeria Unlimited. The onshore production rose 2% to 48,618 barrels of equivalent oil per day, with SEPNU, which is what it's called now, contributing 4,329 per day. So that refinancing moves essentially just helps Seplat. So we'll move quickly to PZ. PZ was also in the news. If you recall, I did mention at some point that PZ was a couple of weeks ago, that PZ was trying to convert its debt to equity. They were going to vote for that at an AGM, during the week. But that AGM fell through, so they did not get the vote that they wanted because minority shareholders voted against converting the 34 million debt into equity, I guess for fear that might dilute their shareholders. I did speak to some of them, and they don't like the share price that PZ was offering. And at some point, I think one of the shareholders actually did get a restraining order against PZ. And so interesting here. But PZ CEO still upbeat, thinks that this deal might still go through at some point. But for now, that deal is dead. Other important news as well. Boa Cement also had its earnings call and talked about capacity expansion, cost pressures that it faced, and forex management. He said it recorded high production volume despite a slow start, and of course despite all the challenges that we had during the week. So that in a nutshell is Follow the Money this week. A whole lot of information to share. Remember to follow us on all social media channels at Nairametrics. You can watch this same episode of this show on our YouTube channel. Oh yeah, and the stocks that I want to pick. So I'm going for purely foreign stocks. That's what's on my radar. Microsoft on my radar, Tesla on my radar, and Nvidia on my radar. Those three stocks on my radar. You want to check them out. Their prices are pretty downbeat at the moment. Until we do this again next week, do have a profitable week ahead. Goodbye.